How we doing now? How are we doing now? Is it better? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't know what's up. It's this new OBS update. It's just it is not cool. It's not cool, man. Is RX8 a must on this edition? No, RX8 isn't a must. I would just use the the Lala AI, to be honest. That shit worked good. RX8 is like tremendously OP if all you want to do is make acapellas. So did you guys see that did you guys see the video where Pharrell was talking to Dave Grohl? And I like when Pharrell talks to other musicians because he's such like he appreciates music so much that he like knows the ins and outs, and he knows like what was excellent about what the other musicians wrote and performed in their catalog, right? So he's talking to Dave Grohl, and you know when Dave was drumming in Nirvana and like Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, even when he was doing Foo Fighters, he would replay like after everybody was gone, he would redo the drums on their records, and then just have like the drummer perform it when they were out live. But he's like a prolific drummer, like on nobody would say that he's a bad drummer or a hack or you know any type of negative criticism. My screen's black. What? Why? Oh, why is OBS hate me today? OBS is just like, nah, bro, we not doing this. Oh, this is awful. OBS, why you treat me this way? Yo. What's up, Money Mikes? This is what we're gonna do. The OBS update made you redo your camera sources for no reason. That's crazy, bro. I don't know. Oh, I hate you, OBS. OBS, no. All right, well, anyhow, like I was saying, um, he when Pharrell, like Pharrell, like is very animated in his praise, and Dave Grohl was like, "Yo, like stop saying that like I'm this amazing drummer, like." All of the stuff that I did on Nevermind, which is like the work that elevated him to legendary status in his genre. He's like, bro, all of that stuff I was doing, I was taking patterns and flams from like Gap Band and other prolific disco bands, and then putting them within the context of our music, right? So I mean, this is something I always talk about, and like I get a lot of pushback on it. Um, not from you guys that like tap in the chat on the streams, but just from like people who watch. Like I don't know what it is about making music on a computer that makes someone believe that every time they sit down to make music that they need to come up with every single MIDI note off the top of their head. You know what I'm saying? Like what do you guys think that's about? You say it's weird, Shane? What's up, John Blaze? How you doing, bro? I'm really not liking how I can't use my camera for story time, guys. This is so bad. Ah, there it is. Hey, I can see me. Does that mean you guys can see me? Does that mean you guys can see me? What's up, day after? How you doing, bro? So yeah, no, what we were talking about was the for you guys that just showed up, we were talking about the Pharrell video that's going around where he's praising Dave Grohl, the drummer from Nirvana, Queens of Stone Age, frontman for Foo Fighters, right? bunch of legendary songs, bunch of classics, rock icon, right? And he's telling Pharrell, he's like, listen, man, like I don't know what to tell you, but those drum patterns I was using on some of my most prolific songs, like those are all drums that I took from disco and whatnot. And he actually mentioned the drummer that he borrowed from the most, and was like, he seen him at a party and approached him and was like, yo, do you know how like influential like I do your stuff? And Buddy was like, yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. I heard it. So there's no situation, right, in music where musicians create, where they're not using other motifs or other rhythmic patterns, or different vibes that come from somewhere else. I think it's just because they're playing instruments, with other humans in a band or whatnot. You kind of look at it like a pass. And I don't know what it is about people who make music in the computer, that they believe every time they open up their DAW, there's just supposed to make everything new from scratch, right? Like, regardless of whether it's clickbait, or something that like producer Twitter does for engagement or what have you. But the conversation of like, hey, is it okay to use loops or not, like, especially for like producers who are beginning, right? Like that's who you typically see this from, is from the younger guys. um they still have this idea that it's like, yo, I making everything from scratch is correct. What's up, Knight Rider? Jones Got Music says they really think all the greats came up with everything on their own. um Money Mike says, I saw that video and sent it to my siblings. Like, I told you, this is why I made you interpolate the drums from Life is Good. Correct, bro. Correct. Timberland said if they had packs back in the day, he would have been using them. Yeah, no, Timberland is. I mean, a lot of people didn't even realize back in the '90s that Timberland was pretty much all samples, which I always thought was weird. Money Mike says there's a reason why certain rock songs black people gravitate to, because them boys and the funk boys were taking each other's drums. Yes, yes. It's just like in the '90s where your favorite rappers were running around with from different studios, finding beats with hooks already loaded in the MPC and using them. Yes, yes, it's exactly like that. Um, I mean, that's why if you guys haven't checked out playlist MIDI drums, we got 5 volumes of that. And what I do with those, and I use them for myself. This is how I get good at drums. Like, I create that product, right? And this is what I'm getting to. I create that product as a means of practice, right? So the way that my mind works is, my memory is photographic. Like, I remember images. I remember images well. So, and the reason why I'm like good using a DAW is because I can remember a pattern, and then associate it with a sound, so I already know what something's going to sound like when I look at it, right? I think a lot of people who produce on the DAW that are fast with MIDI, they do the same thing. I'm not like trying to say like I'm like, ooh, I have a special brain. But so for me, practicing involves taking someone else's drum patterns and transcribing them and writing them out. That way I remember, like, especially if there's like a new like type of kick pattern that I haven't seen before, or something that's like specific to a genre is there. And then like the bonus is, it becomes a product on my site where it's just like, all right, this can help you guys. These are the 5 hottest albums from, like, I do them every couple months, right? So it's the 5 hottest albums from a given like season or quarter, or album cluster or whatever, that you can then take and use these drums like a drummer would. You know what I'm saying? Like this, like that's to bring it full circle, right? So you're talking about Dave Grohl, who is a drummer, who Pharrell, a music producer, like us, is looking at, and he's looking at him in awe, like, dude, you're so amazing at drums. I wish I could do drums like you. And then that man turns around and says, "What are you talking about, bro? I'm just replaying other people's drums." So you know what I mean? So if it's like if it's good enough for like one of the greatest drummers of all time, like what makes you so special that you feel like you have to click in every MIDI box? It's just come on, tighten up. Um, what do we got here? Hit play. What's up, bro? It's like in that dance music, bro. It's so bad that people want to make their own drums for scratch from each song. Yeah, I mean, the dance music has the same kick pattern. That's crazy. Jay Diggity. Dr. Dre was known for his remakes in the beginning. They would perform joke versions of other songs at shows. Oh, wow. I did not know that. Uh, Money Mike says, I have never once made an original drill beat. It's always CMP MIDI sample chord track, follow chords for the 808. And every rapper loves my drill beats, right? If it sounds dope, use it, loops, drum kits, whatever. If you want to be original or do you want to get somebody rapping or singing on your beats? Yes. Yes. Do you want to be original or do you want to get someone using your beats? I think that's the place that we come from, right? So it's all like what is, what is the goal when you're making your tunes? Are you trying to get a are you trying to get somebody on it? Nihilo Cool Skates is not, it's not the loop convo. This is the drum MIDI convo, right? I mean, this is the drum MIDI convo. We were talking about the Pharrell and Dave Grohl conversation where Dave Grohl was basically saying that he would use drum patterns from disco drummers and put him in his context. Um, because now that we're so deep in loop culture and sample culture or whatever, what happens is that the people who do drums, they kind of overstate the importance of originality, in your drum patterns or whatever. And it all depends on what your goal is. Like if you're trying to get, because here's the way music works, and here's the way that what you gravitate to happens, right? So you don't have like amazing original taste, right? It's not the way the human computer works. Like you have context, you have things that you were exposed to, and for whatever reason you've attached good vibes to those sounds, right? And then that becomes the stuff that you gravitate towards for the rest of your life. This musical imprinting typically happens from the time that you were 11 to 16, right? You're never like the music that you liked from 11 to 16. That's the music that you're always going to like. You're always going to think that's the best music of all time. You're not going to find something in your 30s that blows your mind, and you're always going to be trying to recreate that vibe, right? What do you want? You want to go outside? Oh, what's up, Palm Bay? I did a lot of work up in Palm Bay, bro. Thanks for tapping in, Beer Gang. I appreciate you. Shout out to Brevard County. So what was I saying? But yeah, so when you I forgot why I was explaining why you like the music that you like. Let me go back to the comics. Pharrell interprets jumps from one song, chords from another, then does an aggressive head nod that hypnotizes the artist. Yes. Yes. That is exactly that is exactly what Pharrell does. And that's what most of the great producers do, right? Like guys, that is the formula. That is how it is done. Oh, all right, imprinting, blah blah blah. All right, bam. So you have this imprint of these music and these memories that you like, right? And what great musicians do, like if you noticed the one of the main reasons why things work on a predictable 20-year cycle is you look at somebody like Dave Grohl and you look at the timeline. You say like, all right, so these are disco songs that came out in the mid to early 70s, and then he winds up doing alternative sad boy rock in the early 90s, right? That 20-year cycle is how long it took that grown up or that young person who was a young preteen or teenager to then take and become a young adult in the music industry, and then pull, right, to pull from that sonic imprinting and say like, all right, gap band drums, and then my bandmate's guitar, boom, interpolation, combination, right? To 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 sit down in front of a computer, right? And then just be like I'm a blank slate. I'm not going to take anything from nobody, is like the most counterproductive thing that you can do. Nobody creates music like that. Nobody. Melodic Mouse says facts. I've been trying to recreate Little Wayne Carter 2 my whole life. Nice. Really Dell says, "Where's your SQ, bro?" Oh, my SQ's getting retired. It's right here. It's on the floor. I won't be using this. It's cool. Um, but I got the Fader Port 8, and I like it better for what I'm doing with it. Jeremy Hardy said in the interview with MG that the label tried to put his songs with Shaggy in the wrong market, and he had to tell them, no, put it in the cities with high Jamaican migrations rates. So they did, and Shaggy popped off. Yeah. All Gone Wrongful says, sorry to barge in. Is it possible to map the functions of the same VST instrument to two different MIDI controllers at the same time? Yeah, definitely. You can definitely do that. The mapping is controlled. The mapping is controlled here. That's how you pick which MIDI controller you're using to control an instrument. My man thought he was on a Gregor stream though. Shout out to Gregor though. Hitplay says, bro, I've only been making beats with those Hitplay MIDI drums. Made my own pack for me called Drum Vault, and it's broken down by genre and tempo. Now I can make beats without anything getting in my way. It's increased my output 5 times. Yeah, man, that's what it's all about, dude. I um i uh um Sight, he's a YouTuber that does MPC videos, and he's a good guy. He's got a Facebook group called MPC Gang, right? And this is where like a bunch of the MPC heads congregate, obviously. And I noticed like in their culture, specifically a lot of the people that use hardware, one of their things is like um they're very anti-productivity. Like there's this assumption like quality over quantity is somehow makes your music better, and like it fucking doesn't. That's cap, bro. Like, so just because you take a long time to make a song doesn't mean that it's better. Just because you make less songs doesn't mean that your songs are better. Um the way that this works, right, is you make as much music as possible, right? You make as much music as possible. Um I always explain it like this to new people, right? So your first 100 beats are gonna suck, whether they take 2 days to make, whether they take a week to make, or whether they take 2 hours to make. Your first 100 beats, like you're never gonna want to go back to your first 100 beats and be like, "Wow, that was like, I'll never be as good as that," right? So why not get those first 100 beats out of the way by making 2 beats a day for 50 days? Let's get that shit out of the way. Because when you're making your first 100 beats, you're learning like muscle memory, you're learning where your stuff is in your DAW, you're understanding how to move around, and you're coming up with like repeatable habits that will lend to repeatable results, right? Then once you get to the point where, you know, once you get that out of the way, then you slow down a little bit, right? Then you start experimenting with, you find the sounds that you like, find, the VSTs that you like, the textures that you like, the plugins that you like, right? You slow your output down a little bit. But once you get to the point where how to use your DAW, what kick drum to use, you're not at that stage in the process where you think that you have to like search for the perfect snare. Like, no, you're going to use 4 snares your whole career. Like, stop trying to find the perfect snare. Um, but once you get to the point where you can, repeat a good result, then what is the point of slowing down that process, right? Like you already know you can repeat a good result. You know that you can do that. Why would you take longer to do that? What is your take on making your own drum packs then? You need to design every sound yourselves, right? No. No, you don't have to design every sound yourself. Absolutely not. Like that's nobody wants those packs, bro. Nobody wants the pack with sounds they've never heard before. Right? The only people who are like that comes from boom bap culture where you know people would chop and layer breaks, and there was only like a sample and a bass one shot playing in the beat, and the drums were the loudest part of the song. So the texture of your kick and your snare, that's how you could tell the difference between a primo beat and a RZA beat. It was all in their actual drum samples. But since you've got this situation where like all of the greatest break beats of all time are available for free on websites, and people are like making their own break beats, replaying those break beats and processing them and shit like that, dude. Like, what are you gonna make this different? Seriously. You're gonna hit the you're gonna hit the drum set with like a drumstick wrapped in a plastic bag, or a rubber mallet, you know? I always tell people Beethoven wrote over 200 symphonies, for about 13 of them to be considered masterpieces. The rest are forgotten in the ether. These are facts, bro. That's the Studio One update, stealing drums, or is that a topic? No, that's just what we're talking about right now. What's up, Tick? How you doing? Release yourself from the shackles of thinking everything you make has to be good. I've made some trash beats on my journey. Everybody has, man. Everybody has. You have to. Hit Play says, I want to take a long time because I'm a masochist. I can respect that. Ask yourself if famous drummers go and raise cows and kill themselves. The skins, yo. People don't build it. CMP hated because I made a a spider sound. Nah, bro. But it's just if you notice the only people who talk about drum sounds not being made originally, it's just people who sell drums, and those people, I'm sorry to tell you this, but those people do not make their drums from scratch. right? This is what making your drums from scratch entails. Like of the people who are super critical, right? Making your drums from scratch is like the old school way is like, oh, I'm gonna take a break beat from a record and 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 uh and mix it with like a synthetic like 808 sound, adjust the ADSR, and then I made that drum from scratch. I mean, we're splitting hairs at that point, right? Like you stacked a couple drums and put some processing on it. Then there's the new school guys who just use pre-computed effects in the FL Studio channel rack, where it's just like, oh, I put the chop snare inside of here and adjusted the out and in knob and pitched it down to two semitones, and now it's a brand new sound. Not so good says, don't be this guy. I just bought some new music software and it came with 10 gigs of sounds, but I'm deleting all of them. I don't use other people's sounds, bro. Yo. Yeah, man, that is a good one. That is a good one. DJ Michi says, I definitely make some trash beats. Took a long time of doing it, but it was that helped me make the most amazing beats lately. Hit Play says, then you have me where I make drums using both methods. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, like it's like this, dude. Like we're still getting the chop snare in every drum kit, and it's 2021. You know what I'm saying? We're still getting the Lex snare in every drum kit. We're still getting the Lex clap in every drum kit. And then the people who are propping themselves up like, oh, I'm create all these original drums, blah blah blah. Like all they do is take those sounds and pitch them down to semitones, and then put a hi hat on them. You know. Tick says I've tried making my own drums, and I just wind up recreating drums I've already had. Yes, bro, and that's why it's a fool's errand. The MPC kits are just recycled MPC drums of with with the cover of a producer. Yeah, bro. That's why I made industry slap, right? And that's why I didn't like that's why I never went in on drum design, because it always felt goofy, like, ooh, I'm gonna take a snare and mix it with me dropping my car keys, and it'll be an original sound. Like nobody wants to put that in a rap beat, bro. You know? Nobody wants to put that in a rap beat. People want to put the sounds that they hear on other people's songs in a rap beat. Money Mike says, buying drum kits, you're not paying for new drums. You're paying someone you trust to endorse the old drums. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's what industry drums. That's what industry slap is, right? I took like I went and synonymed my favorite songs, found those samples inside, and when I did it, like I didn't feel no type of way, because when I synonymed them, all those sounds popped up 19 times in all these other drum kits that I have. So I'm like, you know what, dude? Like this is the way that it's done. You take, and that's what Drums to Slap Volume 2 was, right? Is I took everybody's favorite sounds and ran them through the Zulu. That's what Drums to Slap Volume 2 is. Those are like tape fucking trap drums, right? But with Industry Slap 2, I was just like, all right, let me go signing them all these drums, find the actual samples that these people are using, and then just put them in a folder, and then come in straight out and say, like, these are curated. This is not like some original shit that I busted my ass to figure out how to make a a clipped kick. No, I'm taking this clip kick, boop, it's in a folder. But So I mean, well, in my opinion, so far, the dopest thing about about this about this update is the chord track update. Is something simple, but it's so fast. So like when I listen to stuff like this, what do I think about BWB and decap? I don't know. I don't use like BWB and decap kits. Like I use I use I use OZ's kits cuz OZ does like he like OZ will do he does what I'm talking about. Like he curates the BWB kits. Like BWB gives you like 1,000 majillion drums, and then after BWB drops a kit, like OZ will come out and it'll have a folder of 10 kicks, 10 snares, 10 hi hats, 10 perks, right? And that's all you need. Like I don't want to scroll through 45 sounds that I'm not going to use to remember the 5 that I am going to use. That's like anybody who makes a kit where you've got more than 12 sounds in each folder, like I'm not fucking with it just based off of like no. Just no, I don't need that. All right, let's go. So these, right? Who's Ozzy? Not Ozzy. OZ. OZ, bro. Like the guy who makes all of the Drake songs for like the past 3 4 years. So you could take something like this, right? And this is what I love about it. 135. Take this guy, drag him up here, get those chords. Then you just, you know, make something make something that makes sense, right? No way did you just drop the chord track into a MIDI channel and it input the note. Oh, oh yes, yes I did. That's definitely what just happened. That's definitely what just happened. That's definitely what just happened. So yeah, ta-da. I should have kept it in the tuck, dude. It's all over the interwebs, bro. Like, how do you keep this in the tuck? Ah, there she goes. Yeah, this pretty much like at least for chord work, it makes Melodyne expendable for sure.